Astrology. This is the birth chart for Zendaya. She's an actress, and we do have the birth time for her, and we see she has an Aquarius rising. She has Uranus in the 12th house on the 6 degrees away from the rising. She's got Pluto on the MC in the 10th in Sagittarius at 0 degrees. Sun in Virgo in the 8th, Moon in Taurus in the 3rd, and Mars, Venus in Cancer in the 6th. Mercury making a sextile to Jupiter in Capricorn. Now I mention all that because I'm going to focus on one major thing here, because I don't know that much about her, but I know this. I saw that she just did a tennis movie, and that's coming out soon. And this girl, and I know a lot about this because when I do my chart, you're going to see, I'm going to talk a lot more about this when I do my chart in the future. But there's something going on with her. She is extremely skinny, and I don't know what it is exactly. You could say she has an eating disorder. She might actually suffer from a low level anorexia, and we can see that in a chart by looking at some of these aspects I'm going to explain here. Sun in Virgo, first one. Moon in Taurus in the 3rd. The Uranus on the rising, the Aquarius on the rising, the Jupiter in Capricorn, and the Mars-Venus in the 6th. So we're looking at the Earth sign specifically, especially Virgo and the 6th house. And she has a Sun in Virgo. She has this Mars-Venus in the 6th house. And also the Moon in the 3rd, because typically an eating disorder can be considered a mental health problem. And actually, when you actually have anorexia, it because it kills your appetite and it's hard to know, you lose your hunger cues and things like that. So it can do damage to the body, which creates things like a serotonin deficiency. And when that can be the case, we could say it becomes a real serious mental illness. And when we have planets in the 3rd, again, this is based on awareness. When you're not aware of them, or you're not willing to deal with them, if you are aware of them, or many other scenarios can be the case, these things can actually come into fruition in a life. And earth signs as well, Taurus, Jupiter, this Capricorn can also tie in with this. I tie in the Uranus because Aquarius and Uranus definitely correlates to trauma, and it correlates to mental illness, specifically psychiatric problems. And then, of course, the 6th house is the Virgo house, which she has Mars in the 6th house. Fortunately, Venus is there as well. When you have Mars in the 6th house of health or not health, you have one of the not benefic, but the other word that they use, you could just say, for lack of a better term, bad planet, negative planet in the health house, so like a Saturn or Mars or even a Pluto sometimes. We see Mercury here is in Libra, and it's ruled, the Mercury, again, obviously is the mind and the thinking, and that's, we see here, ruled by Venus there in Libra, and that's in the 6th. The 3rd house, see, the 3rd house of her chart looks like is ruled by Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, which again comes back to the 6th house. And back to this Mercury here, it's also making a conjunction to the North Node. So there's some fruition in this life, which on a positive note, we see that she's a successful actress. She definitely has talent that she would have worked upon, if you believe in past lives, she would have worked upon in a previous life. And It's really coming to a head in this life from a positive standpoint. We see also with the ruler of that node, the Venus in the sixth for work. And we come back here to this node, well, the Mercury and the node. It's making a sextile to that Jupiter in the 11th, the house of friends and goals and objectives. I'm sorry, I said sextile. I was right thinking the first time, square. So there's definitely some tension here with this Jupiter in Capricorn. In the 11th, again, anything in the 11th associated with Uranus, Aquarius, can bring up trauma. I mean, of course, obviously having Jupiter there, she'd have good luck with friends and very good luck with accomplishing her goals and things of that nature as well on a positive note. But I will say with that Jupiter, what could be one thing that you could also see with a person like that, I mean, it could be peer pressure as well, but it could be the idea of Jupiter thinking they know it all, and maybe just having to feel like they have to be a certain way to maintain status in the entertainment industry. And with Jupiter and Capricorn, it is in its fall. You could think maybe this person is a little bit stuck in her ego when it comes to that, and not really aware of some of the things that I'm talking about, or is willing to play with fire, if you will, when it comes to those things that I talked about. And I will say this: if it wasn't, some people are, and she's still young. Some people do have, they can eat a lot of food and still be skinny. But here's the thing, and I'm speaking from personal experience. The key is to get the weight up. So if this person had these issues, and she would maybe have weighed maybe an extra 15, 20 pounds, then the issues, she'd have some wiggle room there to play with. The problem is when you're so skinny and you're playing with fire, in that if anorexia gets triggered, because it does get triggered in the brain through the DNA, I'm not going to really get into the explanation of it. It gets triggered when you're really below a certain weight, like say you're at like 17, 18, 19 BMI. If you have the genetic predisposition for it, it can be triggered, and once it's triggered, if you let it go for too long, you're basically fucked. So and then it's a long road to recovery from there. So I'm bringing this up because I usually don't, this hasn't really come up in any of the charts specifically, so I wanted to use this. So poor Zendaya, we're picking on her. I hope that that's not the case, but it very well could be. She has Saturn on the South Node in Aries, and Saturn, we see the Mercury there. The positive elements of Mercury with the North Node, but then we see the negative elements of Saturn in Aries on the South Node, and there is that sense of being frustrated or being stuck or reliving the past. So it's not as if this person is moving forward with no hang-ups from the past. And we see that there is if we use the Sun, there's an inconjunct between the Sun and Saturn here with Virgo. So more, and we can really look at this, like I mentioned, all things that come back to the sixth house. And a lot of things can contribute to this as well, like overwork. Because here's the thing: when you decide to gain weight, it's actually, for a lot of people, it's very difficult to gain weight. I can tell you for myself, I had to sit, and I was in probably a much worse situation than I'm referring to here. I had to sit and do nothing for months and stuff my face to get out of the situation I was in, to gain 6 or 7 pounds a month. So with this being said, a lot of this has to do with, could have to do with work. A lot of people that are in these situations can't quit their job. They can't stop working, because in order to gain weight, they have to commit to eating a lot of food. They cannot spend time using energy to get that weight up as quickly as possible, etc. So we see the Virgo with a lot of these Virgo aspects, and with the Sun here in Virgo and the inconjunct to Saturn, We see the trine to the moon, the trine to the Jupiter. We see another inconjunct to the ascendant and Uranus, and a square to Pluto. And also the other thing, I know I'm throwing a lot out there right now, but we see the houses of the 12th house emphasis, the 3rd house emphasis, the 6th house emphasis, and nothing in the 9th, but the 12th, the 3rd, and the 6th are the houses of mentalism. So a very mercurial person here, and when we're talking about these things, we're dealing with all kinds of issues when it comes to the thinking process, the brain, and Virgo in particular. But also some Gemini. We see 0 degrees Pluto kind of being in between the Scorpio Sagittarius at 0 degrees. It's kind of Gemini-like, and we see that with the planets at 0 degrees. They play out as if as a Gemini-like planet, even though it's in Sagittarius. So I'm going to leave it there for now. If you have any comments or know anything else more about this, feel free to leave a comment below, and I hope you subscribe to the channel for more in-depth astrology analysis.